Okay. So we're going to do a little plant profile, and I'm standing here next to a vine that I think is one of the most underutilized plants. Every time I see this plant, either in someone else's garden or in my garden, I wonder why I don't see it more widely planted. And it's Actinidia kolomikta, and this is Arctic Beauty, and it's a hardy kiwi vine. And it's hardy in all of New England. It's hardy down to zone 4. And it's mostly grown for foliage, although it has edible fruits. So there are male and female of this plant, and I grow both just because why not? But the male actually has the more ornamental foliage, and if you can kind of come in on this Bill, you can see that as summer goes on, the leaves start to get a white sort of variegation that actually will blush pink. There's a few of them that are starting to do it right now, and that happens as the vine gets older and also as the summer goes on. And I'll post a picture at the end of the video of what it looks like when it's all in all of its pink, and it's absolutely stunning. And it is so easy to care for. It really needs almost nothing. The only trick, and I learned the hard way, and I'll tell you how, is that you can't let it get exposed, the leaves, once they are emerged in the spring, you can't let it get exposed to frost. So if the leaves come out in spring and then we get a late frost, the leaves will get hit back, and then the vine will have to struggle to send out a whole new set of leaves, which it will do, but it just won't let the vine really grow as fast as it would if it had its leaves the whole time. So when I first planted this vine, I had it growing in a frost pocket in our yard. And I wasn't really familiar with the fact that it was a frost pocket until I started struggling with some things that were growing there. So I moved it because every spring it would get hit with a cold blast, even if it wasn't a frost, and it would drop its leaves and have to start again. And it was just not getting big fast enough, and that's why. So this vine will get to be 15 to 20 feet wide. It will get to be at least high, at least that wide. So 15 by 15, 20 by 20. You can see it's already over my head onto this arbor. And it just doesn't really need any, it's growing out here where there's limited irrigation, a very, very sandy soil, and does very, very well. So back to the original vine that I planted, I moved it and now it's doing much better. And what do I do with these vines if there's going to be a late frost? So they sell frost protecting fabric that you can wrap them, which I have, but I use it for other things. So I always use just blankets and sheets and clothespins. And if we're going to get a really cold or frosty night very late in the season when this thing has fully emerged, I'll come out and wrap a sheet around it and clothespin it onto the arbor, and then it usually protects it. The only time in all the years that I've had this out here that it has gotten hit back is we had 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had a 20-degree day in May, and that was just too much for it. And it did lose its leaves, but it bounced right back. So the male is on this arbor, and Bill, if you back up, the female is on this arbor, and you can see that there's no leaves that are starting to turn. They sometimes will, but for the most part, it's the male that has the really showy foliage. The thing that the female has, and it hasn't done it yet, is it's about to have little tiny white flowers. And once it's done flowering, those flowers turn into little hardy kiwis. And they're the first of the kiwis, of any of the kiwis, to fruit and bloom and then fruit. And they're edible. They're just not as big or as juicy as what we know of as kiwi, but you can eat them. They're perfectly edible. So if you're a homesteader or if you're trying to do a forage garden, wonderful plant to have for that reason, because it will have fruit and you can grow it here in New England. So I will put a picture at the end of this of what the foliage looks like later in the season. And I'll tell you where I got my plants, just because it's a plant that you don't see in every nursery. There's a nursery in Great Barrington, Massachusetts called Windy Hill Farm, and they have amazing, amazing woody plants. I've gotten blueberries from them and hydrangeas from them. And if you're looking for a great tree or shrub, that is the place to head. And that is a nursery run by what I call plantsmen or plants people. Those people know what they're doing. They can answer all your questions. and they often have things that you won't find in other nurseries, including hardy kiwi.